We are the Hollywood Paranormal Detectives.
Oh, that's right, we are. And it's Groundhog Day. That's right, it is Groundhog Day. It is the United States holiday, Groundhog Day, from Germany. That's why I'm wearing my Clark W. Griswold European Vacation hat. This shit's been here for a really long time. Today, with me, as always, the man with the plan, Brian.
Hello.
Oh, hello. Having a little drink to unwind tonight, Brian?
That's how I get through live shows.
And our newest and truest, our own little groundhog. It's Andy. I'm sorry.
Where's he going with that?
I had no plan. Our own little groundhog. What a way to kick off the show. Everyone, if you're just watching now, please hit that like button. Please hit that follow button. Please hit that subscribe button. Go to our link tree. Get our shirts. Go to Paraflix. You're going to see this new crew only on Paraflix Season 4. We've already filmed some stuff, maybe. And we're going to be back in action really soon. Next week, I'm going to go ahead and start by saying next week, we're going to have Paraflix CEO and our friend, Miss Natalie Jones herself, will be our guest next week.
Yay.
Yes,
But this week, our guest is the Groundhog. So we're going to talk about Groundhog Day. I'm already
I'm like, I'm here.
We're going to talk about Groundhog Day, and we're going to talk about, because of the Bill Murray movie, we're going to talk about time loops and time travel. Brian, what do you think about time travel?
I believe forward time travel may be possible. Backward time travel, I don't believe is possible.
See, I think the opposite, actually. I think you can't go to where it hasn't happened yet, but you could go to
no, because what you can do is you can travel away from the Earth at the speed of light, travel back to the Earth at the speed of light, and many years will have passed on Earth. Well, it's only been a short time for you.
So it won't be time travel. It'll be just you're in a different loop.
Yes, the time will pass more quickly on Earth than it does for you. And you will either come back to Earth or you will wind up on the planet of the apes. And my question is, how on earth did they get the Statue of Liberty all the way to the planet of the apes? But,
I don't know. Mandy, what do you feel about time travel?
Until they tell me that it's not real, it's real.
Well, time travel is one thing, but Groundhog Day is something very real. Every year on February 2nd, Phil the Groundhog comes out of his hole in beautiful Punxsutawney, Pennsylvania, and he either says we're going to have 6 more weeks of winter or it's going to be an early spring. Now, that means if there's an early spring, that means the plants are going to bloom, and then in the winters that's still there, they're going to be killed. It's a false spring. And so it's like the early spring fill is like a negative. That means you're going to have a double crop, and you're going to kill that first crop. Yeah, if he sees his shadow, he runs back in. And if he does not, winter is over. It's time for that bad spring. Now, how did it start? Have you ever thought about that? How did people start picking up this rodent and carrying it around town and talking and laughing?
A groundhog to determine
our
weather.
Are cute. I thought that's how it started.
Well, it mainly started with a German holiday called Candlemas Day. It's Candlemas Day, everyone. The German people would go out into the woods and they would look for a badger or a bear. And if they saw one, that means they had come out of hibernation, and they would do it on the winter solstice or the midpoint. I got to get it. The spring equinox. They would go out on the spring equinox, and they would look for a badger or a bear. And if they saw one, they knew to plant their crops. And if they didn't plant their crops. But a lot of people got killed by bears. And then Brian, would you go out to the forest looking for a bear if you just wanted to plant your crops, or would you just plant them?
I would just be afraid if I go out to the forest, I'll be mistaken for a bear. I mean, as it is in the city, sometimes I get mistaken for a bear.
So when the German settlers came to America, one of the traditions they brought with them was the Ground Hog Day, but it was still called Candlemas, and there were no badgers. So they started looking for groundhogs. And the early settlers would go out in the woods, and if they found the groundhog, they would bring it back to the town, they would parade it around, and they would eat it.
Groundhog Day used to mean something in this town. They used to pull the hog out and they used to eat it. You're hypocrites, all of you.
Yes, they would eat it. That's right, Bill Murray. They're hypocrites, all of them. And people say, didn't you ask what do you think groundhog tastes like?
Yeah.
When we were chatting, they say between a little bit of pork, a little bit of chicken.
That is such a gross combo.
That's pretty nasty.
I think that's pretty close to how people describe tasting human flesh.
Well, I mean, we'll have to ask some of the Hollywood celebrities we meet.
What do babies taste like?
I'll give you a winter prediction. It's going to be cold, it's going to be gray, and it's going to last you for the rest of your life.
But that's about
great.
it for Groundhog Day. There's not a lot. I was hoping to find like
The entire rich history.
yes, I was hoping there's a Roman holiday that's kind of connected to it, and it's just sort of a spring equinox day, but they didn't eat nothing and there was no animals.
There's a Roman holiday in Van Nuys too, but I don't think that has anything to do with groundhogs. Probably more bears.
Now, the first thing we'll talk now. Do y'all want to hear the creepypasta? I have a creepypasta that's supposedly a real story about a time loop, and I'm doing it from memory.
Wait, what is the creepypasta?
A creepypasta it's just a story with kind of a twist ending. But this one I heard was real, and they changed the name. Just a creepy story.
Okay.
Y'all want it
Yes.
now?
Oh,
Let's
I
go
want
for
the
it.
pasta.
All right.
Definitely pasta.
So the story I heard was about a man named James Smith, and they said the story was changed. The name was changed to protect the family. What am I doing? I wish I could play some scary music.
His name was actually James Smith with an E.
So James Smith lived in the Bronx, New York, in the big kind of duplexes. It was 1974. He was home with his family. Next door lived his aunt. So his family lived in one, and the aunt's family lived in the next duplex. So everyone was at the aunt's house, and they were celebrating. They were celebrating a birthday or just having a family dinner. And James was going to go out, and he was going to go play basketball. So he goes next door, and he says, "Oh, I'm going to go home next door and take a shower, and I'm going to go out with my friends." So this is 1974. James goes to his own home, and when he gets into his house, apparently James said a bad thunderstorm started. And he got a little nervous, and he went upstairs. He decided to take a shower. He gets in the shower. He has this feeling of dread. And he's in the shower, and as he's standing there, he hears the thunder crack, and the shower curtain opens, and he's sitting there staring at this old man, and he's just staring at him. And James screams and closes the curtain, falls down, reopens the curtain, no one's there, panics, runs next door, says, "During the storm, I was taking a shower, and this person came in." And they go, "James, it's sunny out. There's no storm. There's nothing to worry." They call the police. They check the whole house. The whole family checks the house. James is just traumatized. And it bothered him for years. So now we skip to 2004. James, who was 20, is now 50. He's living in his family home. He's home alone one night, and a storm comes up, and it reminds him of that night. He feels really uncomfortable, the same feelings he felt back then, and he has just this sinking feeling in his gut. He hears a sound upstairs. He goes up to his own house, the same house in 1974 where he saw the person, and he sees that there's someone in his shower. James goes to the shower, opens the shower curtain, and stares eyes to eye with his 20-year-old self.
What?
His 20-year-old self closes the shower curtain,
Oh, I've heard that story.
What?
and James Smith was never seen again because he was caught in a time loop. So the
What?
second he sees his own eyes, he's the young one. So
What the fuck?
I got chills telling
What
the
the
story.
fuck?
So
Wait,
that's the only story of a time loop I could ever
what?
hear. Is the creepiest thing is that James vanished.
Then who knew this happened?
Yes.
It told the story. It's impossible.
Sorry to logic things out like that, but if he disappeared, who knew? Who told the story?
He could have had a wife or a dog or security cameras, but I got chills telling the story.
So note to self: do not shower during a storm
But
because it could be bad.
I thought that was
The
cool.
shower again.
Is in the story that there was no shower, only he experienced the thunder. And then in the story too, he didn't recognize his old self, but he recognized his young self. You heard that one before, Brian?
Though.
I have heard that story. I didn't hear the vanished part, so
Yeah. Well, that was
I didn't hear that that he was stuck in a time loop. I just heard that story that it
stuck
happened
in a time loop.
I mean, but if that were to happen to you, how would you react? If you
I think I would know myself.
You think?
I think I would know myself. Yeah, 20-year-old me, and
So
I'm
you'd be
only
like,
40.
oh, hey.
Have you ever seen? There's a movie with what's the guy from Dumb and Dumber? Not Jim Carrey, the other one.
Jeff Daniels.
Jeff Daniels. That movie where he saves the town from the meteorite. You ever seen that one?
I don't think so.
No.
So in this movie with Jeff Daniels, nobody's seen it. It's awesome. He runs a bed and breakfast, and this is off script for this show. He runs a bed and breakfast.
Do they serve pancakes?
That were pancakes. Absolutely. It's a bed and breakfast. But he gets all these weird people that show up, very strange people, and they're there at his little small town, but they seem very rich. And he shows them around town, and they're taking pictures of the left side of town. And then on this one night, there's this big meteorite comes and takes the whole left side of their town out. And Jeff Daniels' daughter is on the left side of town. So he grabs the people and was like, what are you, tourists? And they're like, we're time travelers. So he gets their little passport, puts it in his pocket, and then he's the day before. So he goes to himself and he's like, hey, I'm you from tomorrow. We've got to stop this. And they go to the church on the other side of town and they start hitting the bells with hammers, and everybody comes to the church, and the meteorite comes and destroys the other side of town. You've never seen that?
No, I've never even heard of it.
I got chills again. It's such a good movie. It's such a good movie. I'm going to show you guys a picture, and I'm sure, Brian, you said you've seen it, but let's see. What do you think of this right here? There he is. Now that man is out of place. This guy's wearing, looks like a hoodie, some cool shades, maybe a superhero shirt. Everyone else, suit and ties. He is known as the time-traveling hipster.
What?
Have you ever
Where do you
seen
get
that? He
those
looks out of
glasses?
place, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's got like a Marvel t-shirt on.
It looks like something like that. I'm not watching comments. Who's...
Oh, it's
Oh,
my
you got a
family.
hi, Mandy, in the comments. That's a cool story, Steve. Thank you. I can't get distracted by this one. Have you seen that picture before, Brian?
I have, and my feeling on it is that there have always been subcultures, but I don't think it's that out of place. I think there's there was a long ago previous generation of hipsters before the modern hipster, and the modern hipster is based on old hipsters. So I don't see that being a big deal. But
What kind of glasses are those?
Yeah, I don't know, but
Those
I
are
mean, he
weird.
could have been like even sort of like a working class guy that wandered into a high class area where
I mean, I
like,
guess the other thing is I mean, he
Yeah,
doesn't
I know.
look that my dad was an artist in the 60s, and this guy does not look that much different than my dad.
When was that photo taken?
We don't know what year it was.
Because
I believe it's
it looks like the 40s, but still, I mean, all those.
I think this is 28.
Yeah, I don't know. That shirt's very out of place for sure.
Well, they
He would
used to
never
have.
dressed
I mean,
like that.
they had T-shirts, but it was underneath all that, and it was
Mhm.
known as your underwear. If you got caught in your T-shirt, you'd be out in your underwear. Like, that's pretty wild.
I don't know.
I think he's a time traveler. I'm going to vote time traveler on this one.
Yeah, he's definitely out of place for me.
I would just hope that if you're smart enough to invent time travel, you'd be a smarter dresser.
All right, I'm going to show you a clip from a Mike Tyson fight in 1995 and tell me what you see in the
But
audience.
back in 1995, the internet is going wild with headlines like,
Ooh.
See that?
Yeah.
That looks like an iPhone.
Yeah.
back in 1995, the internet is going wild with headlines like,
Oh yeah.
What
It's
year
just
is
like
it
a cell phone.
That's 95. But that means people from 2018 time traveled back to 95 to have like an iPhone 2, right?
I mean, I'd need a better look at it. Can you pause on it?
Look into the crowd, Brian, over his shoulder. It's a white.
No,
looks like
For the
an
I know
iPhone.
the object. I know the object you're talking about. I
back
just
in
need-
1995, the internet is going wild with headlines like,
I mean, it looks bigger than a modern iPhone.
It looks like an iPhone.
I think, or it's at least that style of filming, as opposed to back then. If there was a camera, it would be like this style,
I gotta Google this.
camera style.
Let's see.
I mean, they got to. At some point, we have to figure. If we ever figure it out, then we've already figured it out. Does that make sense?
Agreed.
Like if human beings ever figure out time travel, then we've already done it, and then we've already come back. We've already changed everything. Everything is the way it's supposed to be because they've already fixed it. All right, check out this one.
this Charlie Chaplin movie premiere from 1928. Is that a woman walking with a cell phone? Sure looks like it. Look again.
She's looking pretty suspicious.
But if it was from now, she'd be walking and texting. What do you think, Brian?
Well, as I was saying before the show, I've seen that video, and I've seen a breakdown where they showed ads from hearing devices at the time, and it is very likely that she had a hearing aid.
So,
Taylor says that
Big
shirt
hearing
was
aid.
invented in 1964, and they had hoodies in the 30s. Thank you, honey.
shut down.
Well, it's famous. I didn't make it famous. But look at this lady.
Charlie Chaplin movie premiere from 1928. Is that a woman walking with a cell phone? Sure looks like it. Look again.
She's kind of like, oh crap, they're filming me too.
I want to believe it. I want to believe it.
Well, what year would it? Why would you go to a Charlie Chaplin premiere?
I say you can. I can't remember what that footage out. That's like outtake footage from some old movie.
Yeah,
I can't remember what it was, but
well, some people say there was a hearing device that you plugged in your ear and you'd hold it up. But the thing is, if you watch, she doesn't seem to be like talking to anybody. She's walking alone.
About this Charlie Chaplin movie premiere from 1928. Is that a woman walking with a cell phone? Sure looks like it. Look again.
She's walking alone, right?
Yeah, like, what would she be using it for? Like, she's just walking in the street.
Yeah.
well, here's the other thing. What good would a cell phone do you if you traveled back in time with it?
Well, if you're far enough in time to travel back in time, I bet you don't have to worry about cell phone towers.
I bet you there's no such thing as a cell phone by that time.
Well,
Smart.
so Brian, with your theory of having to speed up, maybe they go into space, speed up or speed back, and maybe you speed up so fast you come back around the other side where time started.
Asteroids.
And then you get your cell phone coverage from the spaceship, you know?
Yeah.
I like this one a lot.
That's probably how it works, Steve.
Yeah.
See? Crack the code,
I agree.
everybody.
Yep.
Well, I was counting on you two to have better arguments for time travel because I'm not a big proponent of it.
Well, it's
It had to happen.
I'd
hard
like
to argue.
to believe it, but
I'll give you a winter prediction. It's going to be cold, it's going to be gray, and it's going to last you for the rest of your life.
you know, I mean, we'd get butterfly effects like you wouldn't believe.
But we wouldn't know. We would have no clue.
right.
I also think that, like, if you did go back, if I were to go back and change my history, I don't think it would affect a lot until further down. If one of my relatives ended up doing something planetary scale, you know, I mean, if you go back and change Hitler, he changed the world. If you go back and change Joe Schmo, whose ancestors have always been the Schmoes, you know, you may not affect the world very much at all, you know. I don't know.
But you know, like every other major modern breakthrough, whoever invented it and whoever started pursuing it would just figure out a way to use it to go back in time and get laid because that's all they ever do with technology.
Or it would be so expensive no one could do it. It's like, yeah, I'd like to time travel, but who can afford it?
I've invented time travel. How can I get off on it?
Oh, no.
Oh.
Let's check out.
That's pretty much the way science works.
Now I like this one.
I mean,
because
how soon after the invention of photography was the first nude photo taken?
probably the first phone call was a prank call to the second phone, and it was a dirty call.
Do you have Prince Albert in a can?
I know it's you, Alexander. Let's check this video out.
This footage from 1938. It sure seems as if she's talking on a cell phone.
Now she seems like she kind of gets caught and puts the phone down.
This footage from 1938. It sure seems as if she's talking on a cell phone.
I need more context.
Well, of where these people are, we'd have to be in 1938.
Damn it!
I mean, that could be a black folded handkerchief, and she's dabbing a tear at the corner of her eye.
She's dabbing blood from her ear because of working with
like,
radiation.
I don't know. What if she's like doing what some people do where they pretend to be talking on the phone?
But there's no phone, so she
I know,
can't.
but like,
Well, there were
maybe
phones,
it's just a
just
thing
not
back
cell
in the day.
phones.
She's pretending to be busy. I don't know.
She's walking around. I was on the
Possible.
phone the other day.
That's what women do sometimes when true story. Okay, when we don't want to like interact or we want to look busy, we'll pretend that we're talking on the phone.
I didn't know that.
So-
I know people who wear headphones at work but don't listen to anything. It's just so nobody will bother them.
So that's
Well,
like
I have my headphones in all day, and if someone talks to me, I pause it and then I continue working for 4 hours. I press play. Someone talks to me, I pause it and then continue working for 4 hours. That's what usually happens. I think that's all my clips. I got a couple of stories. So in the year 2000, a guy named John Tibber claimed to be from the year 2036 and from a parallel timeline. And he got a huge internet following. He claimed that in 2004 there was going to be a huge American Civil War. And it was January 2004 he went silent. And he still has some websites and stuff dedicated to him, to his predictions. John Tibbert. Y'all ever heard of John Tibbert?
No, but was he saying that if he's from a parallel timeline?
He said he was a soldier and he came from 2036 and then he came to the year 2000 to try to stop a 2004 Civil War.
Oh,
but how could you even? He must have done it. Maybe he did.
I think the fact that there wasn't a 2004 Civil War proves it.
Way to go, John Timmer.
Yes, John. That, or maybe it wasn't supposed to happen in our timeline. It's supposed to happen
in his
timeline.
Or maybe it happened.
He realized that he fucked up, and now he's quiet.
I would think it'd be so hard to get everything right. You go back to every wrong timeline. It is too complex, the thought of multiverse and the thought of all this stuff. How are we doing? We're doing good. We're doing okay.
And yet.
So in 2018, a man named, he called himself Edward. He said the military sent him to the year 5000. And when he came back, he brought a picture of Los Angeles 3,000 years from now. Let's take a look at that. He said this was Los Angeles underwater in the year 5000.
Eddie said that.
Huh?
I said Eddie said that, huh?
Edward.
Wait,
is
this the
Eddie.
guy that was recruited by the FBI or whatever when he was in high school?
Oh, I don't know.
Because one of the time travelers said that he was specially recruited out of high school to do this mission.
But what does that look like? It sort of looks like an underwater city.
It's a really poor photo.
It's very.
I would expect the year 5000 to have
weirdly taken at the water
3D.
line with. I don't know.
Yeah. And that he didn't have a digital print of it or on a drive. He goes, I got this in my pocket. This photo. No one has photos in their pocket.
Ground Hog, they used to mean something in this town. They used to pull the hog out and they used to eat it. You're hypocrites. All of you.
I just love that. Sorry.
Well, maybe the device that they use in the future to view photos isn't the same, so he had to bring what works, and that's a printout.
I guess.
Never know.
That's all I prepared.
I'm more convinced than if he had it on a CD.
Or if he had a floppy disk.
Yeah.
5 1/4 floppy.
Now, have you heard the theory? Brian, you mentioned Back to the Future. supposedly, like, if you watch the movie, like, this is the best case scenario, and that Marty probably died like 5 times.
Here.
Like, he probably stepped off the building at Bifco, but Doc went back and got there to catch him. He probably got run over by Biff out of the tunnel, but Doc went back and dropped him the rope to pick him up. There's Doc like 5 or 6 times pops in at just the right spot to save Marty when it should be impossible for Doc to be there. So there's alternate Back to the Futures that Marty just dies halfway through.
Of course there are. That's that's half the fun.
Tika, get him! Get him, Tika!
Such a good girl. She doesn't like being ignored.
Here's my question. If you could go back, where would you go? Or like when would you go and what would you do?
I think I would go back to like where there was no people, but there was still like vegetation and plants and stuff. And I would want to just hike. Like, this is going to be Chicago. Like, let's see what downtown Chicago would have looked like, or this is Los Angeles where there's no city. How would it look with no city? That'd be crazy. And knowing that the city would be there, like standing where the sign would be, looking where the city would be like,
yeah,
oh my God, there's nothing. I think that's what I would do. Brian, where would you go?
Where would I go? I'd probably go back one day and gay marry myself.
Okay.
Wait, hold on. What?
So you're saying you're your own dream guy?
Exactly. Or maybe I'd transition first and then come back.
You can't. Takes more than a day for that.
That's what I'm saying. I'd have to, prep for it. Or, we could go through it together.
Well, there you go.
Have my support.
Well, we probably argue over which one.
Give me another minute. Let me think about where I would actually go and what I would.
It's a hard one. It's a tough one.
I know where I would go. I would go back to Dealey Plaza on the day of the Kennedy assassination and see what the hell really happened.
Oh.
Oh, that's another topic we need to cover is conspiracy theories. I'm here for it.
Yes, absolutely.
100%.
Oh my God. Where would you go, Mandy?
Fuck, I don't know. I don't know. I'd want to do something cool, but I feel like it all ends up bad.
It all ends up like you've already time traveled and
Yeah, I already know. I don't know. I kind of would want to go back and be like a queen or something and see what that's like.
But you'd probably go back
It's
and be like a dirt farmer trying to be a queen.
Wait a minute.
I'm the peasant
1947,
trying to
Roswell, New Mexico. I'd go to Roswell.
Oh, okay.
1947.
I think we should go to Roswell anyway.
Roswell would be
It's
cool.
great. I want to go again.
I think I would go to the Old West too. I would go to like downtown Tombstone and just full cowboy and just have my guns and probably be murdered.
And then I want to find Doc Holliday and be like, I'm your Huckleberry. And then
be like, I never said that. I never said that. I never said that.
That's my favorite line of the movie. I'm your Huckleberry.
That's the best line of any movie.
I've been saying it like once a day for the last week, and it's not good. I'm like at work, and I'm like, I'm your Huckleberry.
Did you just watch Tombstone?
I mean, I saw it a long time ago, but I watched it this last weekend, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna start incorporating that into my.
I'm gonna make that. When I had COVID, I watched Tombstone for a day. I just watched it on loop for a day. It's that good. We are not getting a lot of comments tonight because I didn't plan enough. That we're out of what I planned for time travel talk.
Okay. So let's talk then about how back in the day, people would claim that aliens would come down and give them information for how to build things, and it's
Oh,
on
yeah.
hieroglyphs and stuff. Who is to say that those aren't time travelers coming back and saying,
Well, there's
"This is
that
what you
one
need to
that
build"?
looks like a spaceman.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of always thought that, you know, what we think of as aliens are us from the future. But
Yeah.
but I also kind of think that I have issues with reverse time travel. So
That's so funny. If you
So
can
it
go
might have
forward,
been-
you should be able to go
I would
back.
I would have an easier time accepting extraterrestrial than us from the future. Although because even in multiverses and parallel timelines, it does, you know, parallel timelines, not offset timelines. If somehow timelines could be offset and you could jump across into other times, maybe. But you don't hear about offset timelines. You only hear about parallel timelines.
Yeah. I wonder if you went back, it like wouldn't be real. It would be like walking through a ghost. It'd be like walking through a memory. You know, no one's actually there, but you're watching it, kind of thing.
You know, I could this is what I could see. I could see some kind of system that basically captures everything in virtual reality, so in the future you can come back and see things exactly as they were. But
Yeah.
that type of recording would have to be, it has to be started first, and I don't think, you know that's not possible yet, but it probably will be someday, where we will have such a perfect virtual recreation or recording of the world as it is now, you know, and hundreds of years or thousands of years from now, you can experience it.
So you're saying like you could put down all the facts about the Napoleonic War and go watch it?
Well, no, I'm saying, well, actually, yeah, that would probably be the next logical procession from that would be to recreate history, but then you would be getting someone's perception rather than actually how it was. I'm saying right now, if there was some type of, you know, system that was basically virtually recording everything going on,
Yeah.
they would be able to go back and re-experience it. I think it's more likely in the short term that it will be recorded brainwaves of individual people that you will be able to experience basically through them virtually.
Well, I mean, and we haven't been around that long.
Be kind of like that.
Yeah.
Like people have only been around for like, if you saw that that documentary, that if the existence was a calendar, we appear at 11:59 before the stroke of midnight. You know,
Yeah, pretty much
on the last year.
We could be gone at 12:01. So.
Well, and I find it weird that like the dinosaurs lived on Earth like longer than we did, than we have. Like they were here a long time.
Yes,
and
they were.
It's just weird to think about that kind of stuff.
Man, dinosaurs are crazy.
Where else would I go? I'm afraid to go to certain times. Like I would be afraid.
We're a Jewish conspiracy.
You think? What about all those bones?
I know it's not true, but I have actually heard that, and I'm like, "What the hell are you talking about?"
What?
Yeah, the bones are all fakes that were planted in the 1930s.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Like
all over the world.
Hey, you have to be thorough if you're going to have a successful conspiracy.
That's right.
Valid.
I think anytime you would go to, you would feel very like isolated, like with the lack of communication and like the lack of being able to call anyone or talk to anyone, and you'd have to walk. It pretty much feel like time traveling back to hike alone. Like I bet that's what it would feel like.
Have you seen that show, Outlander?
Which
it's all
one?
about. There's only one Outlander.
There's a couple of Outlanders. I got a movie called Outlander where the guy.
There's definitely a movie called Outlander.
The show
Has anything to do
Outlander.
with the show.
What's the show like?
It's about time travel.
Oh.
And it's based off of a book series about a woman who was like, she was in Scotland on vacation and she kept hearing this like humming noise and she followed it to these stones. And when she touched the stone, she went through it and she went 200 years back in time. Jeez. And the whole show is based off of the fact that she's stuck in an old timeline and she tries to change the timeline. And all the shit that happens when you try to change a timeline and prevent things from happening.
Huh.
It's really interesting. I mean, it's fake, but like, it's kind of, I don't know. It makes you think of like how many people are time traveling now and influencing our timeline.
Yeah, that's what I say. If we ever figure it out, we've already figured out and we've already fixed things. Like I bet if we ever figure out,
then what would it be like if we screwed them up?
So if someone's already figured out time travel, they've already gone back and killed Hitler and realized it made the world worse and went back and let Hitler live. Like I'm pretty sure, like all the things they've tried to change to fix.
That would explain why we still have Nazis in the United States of America.
But it's like everything they could try to change is probably something they realized they couldn't change. So everything that's happened has been allowed to happen by someone way in the future.
Interesting.
You guys, not our strongest episode.
It's a hard one because
I think for the talk show, it's nice to have a guest.
Well,
be short a team member and have no guest.
Well, I thought I wrote at least an hour worth of stuff down, and we finished it in about 7 minutes.
Okay, I can keep going. I got stuff.
Ask questions.
Ask
time travel questions.
Nick Groff talks a lot about the idea of, this is ghost related. That what if the room that you're in and the hello that you get on your recorder is you saying hello, but in a different timeline, a different universe.
It's multiverse me at the exact same moment trying to communicate.
Yes.
That makes a little bit of sense.
The only reason that's making a little bit of sense is how did we get your voice in the spirit off the spirit box and
exactly
in the gold
so
field.
When it sounds like you, it makes you stop and think, just like a little bit.
That was months later, so it wasn't parallel. It wasn't at the exact time.
Yeah.
But
well, and like Brian, I was just watching. You got the name Jacob in the Pasadena Playhouse, and then you were in the carousel, and you said, "Who's here?" And it goes Jacob, but it sounded like the same recording. It sounded like Jacob, like the same Jacob.
I'm gonna have to take a look inside your spirit box and see if there's a chip in there.
I said Jacob.
That records play stuff back randomly,
like a nacho cheese.
No, like a
I know.
an IC chip, a program chip that has little clips on it that just pop up randomly and records and does the same thing. But I've actually I know I've looked inside my spirit box and it's just a radio. All they do, there's a little circuit in there that controls basically stopping on stations when it comes to one, and you disable that, then it just continuously scans, and then you can adjust the speed.
I opened something I got. I think I got it's supposed to be an EM pump, and it didn't make any noise or anything, and I opened it, and it was just a button with a light hooked up with a little battery, and there was nothing inside. So it was just a box that made a light come on to make my dumb ass think it was an EM pump.
You got scammed. A real EM pump has a spinning magnet in it.
There was nothing in it. It was just a button with a light. And I was like, "Is nothing else? It's just a button with a light." Like, that's bullcrap.
You got screwed, buddy.
Yeah.
I hope you didn't pay much for it, because I can build you boxes with lights on them all day long.
Well, that's all we really need. Geez, you guys. Time travel questions. Keep them coming. so I can answer.
Okay.
It's Ground Hog.
Okay. What are your thoughts on astral travel?
Like out of body projection?
Mm-hmm.
Now, is that time travel or is that?
Yeah, I mean, you can do it
Within
to different.
time.
You can do it to different times.
I so
don't know.
far have been unable to achieve it, but it doesn't mean I don't believe it's possible.
Okay. Okay.
What's the thing where you focus on a location that you haven't been and
Remote
you tell
viewing.
Remote viewing.
Now, I've seen enough remote viewing evidence that I think somehow that is real. Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, there is definitely enough evidence to say
So if
that
we can send ourselves somewhere else, why can't we then send the whole body, like as a physical body, to a different
I don't
timeline?
know. Or maybe that's what they figure out later. I agree with Brian. It has to be something dealing with speed.
if you take enough speed.
No.
If you run fast enough.
But I also don't think it has to be moving. It can just be vibrating at the right speed, stationary kind of thing.
Well, doesn't 88 miles an hour and how many gigawatts get you there?
I hope so. But Marty dies 3 or 4 times.
Well, I mean, so there's portals all around the world, right?
Yeah.
Where you can go and you can be transported to another place instantly. Like there's like a portal in Alaska that if you go through it, you end up in like Pearl Harbor or something like that.
I've never heard of these portals.
What? Okay, so there's these portals throughout the world that the government knows about, and it's
Really?
you can essentially. I was watching this documentary, and it was at Alien Con, and this woman was interviewing these ex-SEAL guys. And why are you smiling?
I just like it. I like
okay. I was like, oh, he's doubting it already. It's these ex-SEAL guys who she said it took her 2 years to make the documentary because they were being watched so much and they had to do everything in secrecy. But they were talking about these portals that the government uses to be able to get from one part of the world to another really quickly. And it's literally like what you would imagine, like a rock formation.
Like a Stargate.
Yeah, and then they just walk through it, and next thing you know, they're in a different place. And they say like they use that really religiously. What's that?
Brian?
I said I've seen that episode of Star Trek, the original series.
Well, it's happening, and they're talking about being able to go through it and transport. So why not use it and transport to different timelines? I mean, or different years.
Well, if those portals do in fact exist, it's quite possible you can.
Exactly.
Or what if the moment we figure out time travel, that line of existence is destroyed? Because the only thing that keeps everything from happening simultaneous is time. You know, like without it, it's all one moment. But then also, like Patty says, time doesn't exist on the other side.
Yeah, time's basically time is a human.
Just a social construct. Yeah.
There's
no time on the
human
other side.
perception. Animals don't have time. They know when to do stuff, but they don't have a concept of time.
But they still age day to day. They still go to sleep and wake up and understand the seasons and another lap around the sun. So I wonder if it'd be, man, this is our worst episode yet.
Stop.
I just want you guys to know we're down to no viewers. Not even my wife is watching.
Well,
so that's pretty bad.
They can't all be gems.
They can't all be great.
Well, I thought the creepypasta was good.
Yeah, we started out pretty strong.
Started out strong. I think we just went too fast through everything. Didn't give it
Let's
time.
plug some stuff. We tried time travel, guys, and it didn't happen. It did the best we could.
Maybe we can go back and redo this.
What we got's fantastic. Where'd my calendar go?
The timelines.
Emily's
Time
at home
travel
watching,
joke,
so
damn it.
happy she didn't come on tonight.
She told me she probably won't watch.
That's nice.
I had my calendar in my lap, and now I've lost it.
Well, losing
For
your
anyone
calendar,
watching,
that's like time travel, isn't it?
yeah. Let me get my calendar.
Maybe we can shift.
So
gears.
coming up, you won't see another episode like this. Next week, we have the one and only Paraflix CEO, Miss Natalie Jones, will be here. And you met her at the convention briefly, Mandy?
No.
You did not meet her.
No, I
I've
haven't
never
met her
met
yet.
Natalie either.
I met Patty.
I've phone Skyped with her. I can't wait to ask about, like, you know, putting together something like Paraflix is such an amazing feat. I'm totally excited for that. The 16th, Brian, we have your friend Morgan Lee.
That should be interesting.
Now, do you want to lead that episode? Do you want to write her questions?
I would still prefer that you do that. That you do that, Stephen.
You're a lot more familiar with her. I've been trying to do some research on everybody every week.
Well, let's get together and figure and plan that or phone or whatever and figure it out.
Yeah. And then the 23rd of February, we have Tammy G, which is a friend of Emily's, which is apparently she has some really bizarre, extreme haunting experiences. Then March the 9th, we have Miss Haley Michelle.
Well, I told you there's actually an episode of A Haunting that is Morgan's.
Oh.
Story.
Ooh.
She's the main one.
Yes, there's an episode of A Haunting about her experiences, and then she's a paranormal expert on lots of Canadian shows.
We're getting close.
Haunted Hospitals is one. Paranormal 911. There's a bunch of Canadian shows that she's all over, and she's written a number of books and things too. So
I've looked into her a little bit. She seems like very legit. I'm very excited. Miss Haley Michelle is a TikTok sensation and medium and ghost hunter, and is really kind of an up and coming psychic medium. Patty is great friends with her. I'm very excited to have her on the show. And then, Brian, I'm going to make an announcement right now that you might not have heard. I told Mandy briefly before you got on. We're going to have to do a Monday episode.
Oh, what?
Monday, March 7th.
Okay.
No one's watching, so no one's getting this information. We're going to have 2 members of the Tennessee Wraith Chasers on.
Okay.
From Ghost Asylum.
That sounds cool.
We're going to have, they could only do Monday, so I figured you guys are cool. We're going to, Mike and Chris from Tennessee Wraith Chasers will be on Monday the 7th.
Fantastic.
And then Wednesday the 9th, we're still going to have Earl Grey.
Oh, that's awesome.
And then Saturday the 12th, you guys know where we're going to be, but they don't know where we're going to be. We're not going to tell them. But we're going to be filming the 12th. Well, if anyone gets to this point of the show, please like, follow, subscribe. You guys, I need to plan more.
Please don't judge us.
Hold on.
Listen to the
I'm being
creepypasta.
told that nobody can comment.
Yeah, no one really commented.
No, it's saying
one's-
they can't.
Oh, people
Why?
are saying they can't comment?
It says that post has been removed and by the owner and it can't be commented on.
What is?
This.
Do you think we got screwed over by Bill Murray clips?
Shouldn't have.
Saying it won't let them post anymore or comment.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to call it a night with this wonderful disaster. Thank you guys for coming. For HPD episode 5, Groundhog Day time travel. Good night.
Good night.